Here's the deal. Sales isn't about pushing harder, talking better, or flooding inboxes. That's noise, not strategy. Real business development? It's about presence, precision, and knowing exactly how the room feels before you open your mouth. Jake Stahl, author of Own the Room, How to Communicate to Be Seen, Heard, and Respected, has spent over 30 years training teams across 6 countries and 47 states, teaching solopreneurs how to turn conversations into conversion. Known as the mind mechanic, people who have been trained by him say he has the uncanny ability to break down human behavior and rebuild it into real, repeatable influence. This is where communication becomes your unfair advantage. Welcome to Own the Room with Jake Stahl.
Welcome back, everyone, to Own the Room, where we bring in people who own their lane and make rooms shift just by walking into them. My guest today is David Newman, CSP. David is a certified speaking professional, a popular keynote speaker, and author of the new book, which I am super excited to hear about, called Market Eminence, 22 Strategies to Build a Bold Personal Brand, Become a Business Celebrity, and Drive Unstoppable Growth. Boy, if that doesn't make you want to read it, I don't know what does. David works with founders, mid-market CEOs, and professional services firms who want to play bigger, grow faster, and become a category of one. I'm proud to say I know David. He's a colleague. He's a great author. I've read his books, and you should too, because he has 3 previous books: Do It Selling, Do It Speaking, and Do It Marketing. The Do It Marketing was actually an international bestseller translated into 6 languages. And if that's not enough, David is also the host of the globally ranked top 1% podcast, The Selling Show, with over 500 episodes. Wow. David, that's quite the laundry list. Thank you for coming on the show.
Jake, it's a pleasure to be here. And I think the show is over. I mean, with that introduction, the only place we can go from here is down. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you. Game over.
Well, you can show your appreciation through check or PayPal or money order. I'm open to all of those, David.
Exactly. No, it's great to be here, Jake. Thank you for having me on.
Well, and David, I'm just thrilled. You are my first repeat guest on the show. So I'm doubly excited. No
repeat
play on
guest,
words intended.
Repeat guest, repeat offender. It's all the same thing.
I know you're called both.
That's right. That's right.
So, David, I'm really excited to get into it. So let's talk a little bit about your new book, Market Eminence. And first of all, what does market eminence mean? What exactly is that term?
So that is a great question, and I'll tell you a little funny backstory.
They're all going to be great questions, David.
Yes.
All of them.
Well, there you go. Of course. The backstory is that everybody, all my friends, all my colleagues, all my smart advocates said, that's a terrible title. No one knows what the word eminence means. It's weird. It's quirky. You're going to make people go to the dictionary to figure out what this is. And so I was strongly advised against it. We'll just put a pin in that, and then I'll answer your question, then we can come back to it. So zooming out, what's the big question that we're answering here? What's the big problem that we're solving? The big problem that we're solving is, how do we get noticed? How do we get noticed? Our company, our products, our services, our brand, our cause. How do we get noticed in this crazy, noisy, AI-driven world that we're in? And my answer to that is market eminence, which my definition is 3 building blocks. Building block number 1 is visibility, because no one buys products or services sight unseen. So job number 1 is to get seen. Number 2 is respect. Respect comes from knowing our target market better than they know themselves, knowing their pains, problems, heartaches, headaches, challenges, gaps, goals, dreams, hopes, aspirations, and reflecting that back to them so that they look at a piece of content, they look at our website, they look at our last LinkedIn post, and Jake, what they say is, I felt like you were talking to me. So that's where respect comes from. And then brand preference is the third building block of market eminence. Brand preference is a combination of differentiation and positioning so that it is actually risky, dangerous, and dumb to hire anyone other than you. Because it's not always the best choice that gets hired, it is the safest choice. It is the least risk, it is the most confidence that you can get them to their desired destination. So, those three building blocks taken together is what everything in the Market Eminence book is driving towards.
David, those all sound pretty common sense to me. Why isn't everybody doing that? It seems like you hit the three main drivers, and yet I can't tell you the last time I looked at an ad that said, oh my God, they're talking to me.
Yes. So you are absolutely right. There are, this is an amalgamation or what's the other word? Sort of a snapshot of the greatest hits of things that I've always been teaching, preaching. They're in my previous books. None of these ideas are new. None of these ideas are new. I think what's new is putting them together in a way that is actionable. I'm going to give you two examples, two spirit animals that people are probably familiar with. One is Seth Godin, and the other
Mhm.
is Gary Vaynerchuk. So, starting from 20 years ago, Seth Godin said, just go out there and be remarkable. Purple cow, right? Purple cow.
Yeah, the
Everyone
purple
notices
cow
a
is what
purple
always
cow.
comes to mind, right?
So be remarkable. Then we go to Gary V. Gary V says, just put content out there that people want to share. Just, you got to be relentless. You got to put content out there that is amazing. So it's like, okay, I yet to have to see the playbook of what remarkable content. Give me the what are the building blocks of remarkable content?
Right,
And then give me the building blocks of amazing content or share worthy content. So everyone says this is what you have to do. That
right,
part's not new.
right.
How do you act? What's the blocking and tackling? What are the steps? What are the building blocks to not just create the content, but create the philosophy, the movement, the articulation and distinction and positioning that elevates you head and shoulders above the crowd so that you can finally, after 20 plus years, implement what Seth Godin has always been telling you, implement what Gary Vee has always been advocating for, and implementing what you just said. Common sense says, well, isn't everyone doing this? Shouldn't everyone be doing this? Haven't we heard hundreds of times about visibility and resonate with your target audience and, be unique, be distinct? But that advice at that very high strategic philosophical level, that helps nobody. So that's the 50,000-foot advice. Market Eminence takes it down to the blades of grass as far as the exactly what to say and how to say it that is organic and natural to you and personal to you, exactly what to do and how to do it. So again, it is coming from transparency, authenticity, and what you truly believe. And I think that's the difference maker, is that we've had all these kegs of dynamite sitting around, and I'm finally giving you the match.
I love that. It's funny, David. My wife and I were on a cruise not long ago, and I love watches. Love watches. If I could buy one for every day of the year, I would. And I'd never wear one twice. But the thing that always got me about watch ads is that you will have remarkably, ridiculously wealthy people going, this is the only watch I wear. And what that tells me is A, I can't afford it. And B, if I don't like that actor, why would I care? And, I always get put off by ads like that. So, what are they doing wrong? I mean, they're not making it for people like me and my pocketbook.
Right, right. So you put your finger on something really, really valuable, which is if you don't risk turning some people off, and it sounds like these ads have kind of turned you off,
Yeah.
then you'll never turn anyone on. So clearly
I
those
like that.
super high-end watches, right? that are
Yep.
50,000, 100,000, $500,000. And yes, my friends, there are $500,000 watches. There's $1 million watches. There's $2 million watches. Jake knows this. I know this because I'm also a watch nerd. Now, I don't collect $1 million watches. I collect watches that might be 200 bucks, 300 bucks,
Right.
500
Yep.
bucks, right? That
Yep.
category. Once in a while, I might dip into like a 2,000 or $2,500 watch. And I have a grand, even though I'm a watch person also, I didn't know this about you. So here we are discovering it together on the air. I have one Rolex. I have one Rolex, but I don't wear the Rolex all the time, right? The Rolex to me is the top of the pyramid. So
Right.
I love watches. I wear it not quite every day of the year, but I've got, I think, 14 or 15 different watches, and I'm always looking to add to the collection because
Yep.
I'm a watch nerd. If you're a
Of
watch nerd,
course.
you buy watches. If you're a pen nerd, you buy pens. If you're a clothing nerd, you buy clothing. We're stuck with the watches. So think about all the YouTube channels, all the watch influencers that say you don't need a Rolex. In fact, you want variety. Here's a Seiko for $500. Here's some other, here's another brand that's, they make the most amazing $300. By the way, Timex makes some amazing watches. Have a look at these three Timex models that are less than $200 each, right? You and I are like, whoop, the ears go
Yeah.
up. We go, this is my guy. This is my guy. Now,
Yeah.
the person who wants to spend 15, 20, $25,000 on a Rolex, not following that influencer, not
No, you're
subscribing to
right.
that YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
So there's different market segments, there's different types of fan base that you can activate. And the danger in all of this, and we kind of went down the rabbit hole of watches, the danger in all of this is casting the net too wide and trying to hedge your bets. Because guess what, my friends? Rolex people are not Timex people. Timex people are not Rolex people. You got to know where you are playing to your strengths. You got to know who you want to attract, and you got to know who you want to repel. And this whole concept of being liked by everyone and having products and services and programs for everybody, that is old news, and that is a recipe for mediocrity, playing it safe, and obscurity. Because again, if you're trying to be vanilla, vanilla doesn't attract attention. Technicolor attracts attention. So you really have to fly your freak flag. And one of the principal concepts in market eminence is that this is not about a PR stunt. This is not about just grabbing something out of the air and seeing, hey, what happens if we start talking about this? It's
Right.
more about uncovering what's already there, uncovering the authenticity, the preferences, the strengths, the personality that you bring to your business, and amplifying that and multiplying that and unleashing a whole bunch of people that are attracted to that because you stand for some things and you stand equally strong against other things.
David, I love this because a lot of our listeners are solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, and they get into this. I need to please everybody, cast the widest possible net. So it sounds like we're saying, don't do that.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. So this is about powerfully attracting the best fits and equally powerfully repelling the bad fits. Now, here's where I get a lot of resistance, Jake. Here's where we sit down for a VIP day, strategic work session. We're about this far into it, whatever this has been now, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And person goes, well, David, hang on, hang on. I'm not sure I like this thing about polarizing, being divisive, turning some people off. Maybe we should, just go back to what we were doing before. I was like, okay, hang on, hang
Yeah.
on, hang on. Let me put this in a way that's going to make you a lot more comfortable with this concept. Let's say that we install a magic fence around your business. This is a magic electromagnetic fence that's got two different polarities. One polarity, it's pulling in your best fit prospect, not just prospects, by the way, but prospects and talent, people that you might want to have work with you or work for you. Best fit investors, best fit partners, best fit media and podcast hosts, best fit perhaps even acquirers if you want your business to be acquired someday. Pulls in all the best fits very strongly. And then you turn the polarity around like any magnet, it repels the bad fits, the nightmare clients from hell, the people that you would never want to come have work for you, the bad partners, all of the bad stuff. And they think about it, and I'm looking at their body language, and they're still kind of tense. And I say, okay, it sounds like you're still not comfortable with this. Let's do this. Let's do a whiteboard session and let's list, what does bad fit mean to you? So what's a bad fit prospect? Well, they come in, they nickel and dime everything, they micromanage, they question every invoice, they show up late, they don't hold through to their commitments, they don't implement the things that we talk about. Okay, great. Let's talk about bad fit hires. You ever made a bad hire, whether it's an employee or a contractor? Yeah. What was bad about them? Misalignment. They didn't believe what we believe. They didn't share the vision that we have for our business and for our customers. They showed up late. They left early. They did the minimum. They just checked the box. They weren't committed. They weren't excited about helping us. Okay. I make this list, like literally 8, 10 items on the whiteboard. And I say, what I just said is these are the exact people that we are turning away and repelling. How do you feel about that? And when they look at the list, their shoulders soften, their eyes kind of get misty, and they say to me, that would be great. And I say, I know. Wouldn't it be great? Welcome to Market Eminence.
That's amazing. So, David, you know that I love your philosophies. I've read your other books. I think they're amazing, and I think you're absolutely brilliant. One thing I would love to talk about is in your book, you talk about the obscurity tax.
Yes.
Tell me what you mean by that.
So the obscurity tax is a tax that we voluntarily pay. Most taxes, not voluntary. It's kind of like pay the tax or go to jail. That's how that works. But the obscurity tax is all of the opportunity, all of the revenue, all of the partnerships, all of the podcasts that you could be on, all of the marketing, all of the client attraction power that you are giving up by hiding. And when I say hiding, I mean you're hiding behind, or what you're hiding is you're hiding who you really are. You're hiding what you really think. You're hiding what you truly believe. So this is my beef with personal branding, by the way. Personal branding to me seems like you're putting a lot of stuff on to who you are that's not really there. Market Eminence and the source of the way to solve the obscurity tax and stop paying it is to actually remove all those barriers, remove all those safeguards, remove all of that junk that is hiding what you really believe, who you really are. So this becomes an exercise in transparency, in authenticity, in bravery of really putting out there in the marketplace what you believe, what you're for, what you're against, what business philosophies, principles, and practices you embrace, and which ones you reject. And you reject them strongly and loudly because they are not serving your target market. They're outdated. They're based on myths, or they're based on half-truths, or they're based on outdated truths, things that are just no longer the case anymore. But the rest of your industry still embraces them. The rest of your industry still has those practices that don't serve clients and that may even hurt clients. And you become the beacon. You become the, not the flashlight, but the lighthouse. You become the lighthouse that is sitting on the shore, illuminating the harbor and providing safe passage through all the dangerous, sharp rocks, and making sure that your ships, your followers, have a safe passage to the ultimate end result that they really want. So when you're that beacon, when you're that lighthouse, people have an enhanced level of clarity and respect, not just for the products and services that you sell, but for who you are at your core and what you believe and what you stand for. And that makes all the difference versus someone who is hiding, turning off the light in the lighthouse. Now it's dark and you don't know where the rocks are. You don't know where the safe passage is. And you sure as hell can't see the lighthouse. When you're sitting there in the dark and you're shouting and you're chasing and you're persuading and you're convincing and you're beating people up to do business with you, that's the obscurity tax that you can stop paying right now.
That's amazing. And you said something in there that really struck me. You said the bravery. And it
Yes.
does occur to me that there is an amount of bravery it would take to do that. Because I think we're all so caught up in the, I need people to like me.
Yeah.
I need people to accept who I am. And so we often hide our light under a bushel
Yeah.
and we don't let people see it. So is there any guidance in the book about how to get a little brave?
Absolutely. The two impulses, and you named one of them, the two impulses that we have to get emotional mastery over. Number one, the need to be liked, and number two, the need to sound smart. Now, let's unpack each one of those for a minute.
I can't
The
wait for the
need
second one.
the need to be liked. Uh, Again, go back to my whiteboard exercise. Do you really want all of those terrible fit people to like you? Probably not. So, one of the mantras in the Market Eminence book is if you don't risk turning some people off, you'll never turn anybody on. Sounds scary. The good news is you're only turning off the bad fits and you're turning on the good fits. So, don't worry about being liked. And I'll finish that sentence for people. Don't worry about being liked by the wrong people, right? Looking for love in all the wrong places. That's a country and western song.
Right. Yep.
You don't want to be in that country and western song.
True.
So you want to be liked by the right people for the right reasons. Number two, the need to sound smart. The need to sound smart is this is shown and reflected. This is on your website, your corporate jargon filled, cliche filled website. This is in your marketing material. This is in your Substack newsletter that goes out. This is in your last LinkedIn post. This is in your sales conversations. This is in your webinars. This is everywhere. So we are intentionally commoditizing. We sound like every other smart consultant. We sound like every other smart agency owner. We sound like every other smart solopreneur who does what you do. Because smart people say the same smart things over and over and over and over, leading to more noise, commoditization, and this sense that, oh my God, everyone's a clone. Welcome to the Clone Wars. And then you add on top of that AI, because now everyone's using AI. AI is fantastic at pattern recognition and computational intelligence. So it will take all of the content in the world that's on the World Wide Web, and it will amalgamate and synthesize and spit it right back out to you, just like all the other folks that are using Chat GPT and AI tools. So the more you rely on AI, and I love AI, I mean, I'm a huge proponent of AI, behind the scenes, brainstorming, automation, all kinds of things that a customer or a client might never see. I think where you start to delegate your voice in the marketplace to AI, that is another unintentional way of sounding like everybody else. Because guess what? Your competitors are also using AI to write their homepages and their emails and their Substack newsletter and. So please, my friends, let go of those two things. Uh, Rather than wanting to be liked by everybody, focus on being liked by the exact right fits. Rather than sounding smart, sound authentic, sound real, sound human, sound biased, sound like you've got perspective, sound like you've got war stories and battle scars and things you've done and things you've learned, because AI cannot do that. AI cannot be you with your backstory, your lessons learned, your battle scars, your war stories. The more that you share those, the more distinct and human you will sound, elevating you above all the clones.
God, this is sage advice, David. You're like giving away thousands of dollars of free advice here. I
This is
appreciate
true.
that.
This is true. And my
Thank you.
mailbox remains open for checks, money orders, cash, cookies, puppies, whatever you got.
He also takes Zelle,
Oh, yeah.
PayPal. He'll take
PayPal, you
whatever
got
you
it. Venmo.
got. So, David, in your book, even in the title, you talk about 22 strategies. Now, we don't have time in the podcast to cover all 22, and we certainly don't want it to take away from the book, but can you share
Sure.
one or two that would really apply to solopreneurs that they could take away after the show?
Oh my gosh, absolutely yes. So I'm going to
Thank you.
give you a a starter kit, if you
Awesome.
will,
Yeah,
for
and I
developing your
will.
contrarian slant. Because sometimes people mistake this, Jake, for either a PR stunt or an attention grab, just to grab attention, say something controversial or crazy or nutty and see what happens. Or they look at this like kind of one campaign and then they go back to being dull and boring and so forth. It's none of those things. It is not a PR stunt. It is not an attention grab for the sake of attention. This is about uncovering what's genuinely in your heart and in your soul. So, three prompting questions for you to develop your contrarian slant and start getting comfortable with it. Maybe this is your next LinkedIn post. Maybe you put this in your next sales conversation. You put this in your next live stream. It can go lots of places. Question number one, I'm going to challenge people. Ask yourself, what conventional wisdom in your field do you secretly think is completely wrong, but you've never publicly challenged it? So you already don't believe this, don't subscribe to this, rail against this with clients, but you've never publicly skewered that sacred cow. So that's prompt number one. Prompt
A lot
number
of cows in
two.
this show.
Yes, exactly. Prompt number two is, what harsh truth about your industry are clients desperate for someone to finally acknowledge openly? I call this the elephant in the room question, right? What does everyone know is missing, funky, broken, and sad with your category of product or service? But no one's saying it. No one's saying it. So imagine if there was a law firm that says, hourly billing is actually detrimental to clients. When clients come to us, they want their case resolved quickly. They do not want their case to drag on for weeks and weeks and months. So rather than run the clock, we get you the result. Fixed fees, no surprises, just results. Imagine if there was a law firm that did that. All
There
the
would
other
be a
law firms,
stampede.
oh my God, all the other law firms would lose their minds. Someone called out the elephant in the room. And why are Xerox copies $5 a page? And why am I paying my guy $800 an hour when the only thing I want is this case to be resolved and resolved in my favor and resolved quickly? So think about what harsh truth in your industry are clients desperate for someone to finally acknowledge. And then number three, what strong point of view do you already hold? You already hold it that makes industry insiders uncomfortable, but resonates deeply with your ideal client. So it's three doorways into a similar kind of arena. And I want you to latch on to one thing that's an answer to at least one or two of those three questions. And the bravery step, put that in your next LinkedIn post. Put that into your next sales conversation, the next sales conversation that you have scheduled. Put that article that talks about this and teaches this in your next email broadcast that goes out to all your subscribers. And that baby step, and when you start to get the feedback from the marketplace, oh my God, Jake, I just got your email newsletter. That was freaking amazing. I can't believe you said that out loud. That's such a needed message. Everyone needs to read this. I forwarded this to 5 of my friends. Now you know that you hit a vein. Now that you know you hit something that resonates deeply with the right people. And I also want you to get ready for some hate mail, because if you don't get hate mail, then you didn't do this right. The hate mail is, how dare you say something like that? I can't believe you're a disgrace to the industry. I can't believe that. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, mission accomplished. So
Right.
one of my favorite clients is this Cajun fellow from down in New Orleans. I was explaining this concept to him years ago, and he says, "Oh, David, my grandpappy was always saying this." And I said, "What's your grandpappy saying?" And I can't do the Cajun accent, so bear with me on this. He says, "My grandpappy says, son, you ain't nobody till somebody hates your guts." And I said, awesome, I have arrived. I'm a somebody, because some people do hate my guts, and that's a positive sign.
Yeah, it's funny. There's a thing from a song, a quote from a song, and it says, "I'd rather be hated for who I am than for loved for who I'm not."
Amen.
Yeah, yeah, agreed 100%. So, David, when does your book come out? When does it hit the shelves?
So we are soft launching it right now, meaning it's Kindle only at a specially reduced price. Shh, don't tell anyone.
I won't say a
And
word.
then in January, the paperback and the audiobook version are coming out, and then it's going to be available in all formats everywhere fine books and audiobooks are sold. So January of 2026 is the big launch.
Fantastic. And all podcasts that have you on get signed copies, I'm sure.
Of
Right?
course,
Yeah,
signed,
that's what I thought.
autographed, embossed, labeled, all of it.
Fantastic. David, is there anything else the book covers that you'd like to discuss? Main themes, things you want to have as takeaways, reasons for people to buy it, other than the fact that you're just a genius and you interview extremely well on podcasts.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I would just, there are 22 specific strategies in this playbook. My final words of encouragement, and this applies to anything that you do in your business, but it certainly applies to implementing some of the ideas in Market Eminence. Action eliminates fear. So when you're saying, "Oh man, can we say that? Can we do that? Are we gonna get some negative blowback? Is this gonna hurt us more than it's gonna help us?" The only way you're gonna find out is to take action. And I don't mean like just bet the farm on something. I mean take a baby step like I just recommended. Take a baby step because that's going to give you data. That's going to give you feedback. And then based on that data, based on that feedback, see what resonates, see what lands, see what works, do more of that. And then that's going to guide your next action and your next action and your next action. So if you want to start building some momentum around your decommoditization strategy, to win more attention, earn more attention. I shouldn't say win, earn, genuinely earn more attention from all the stakeholders that are important to you and your business. Action eliminates fear.
I love that. And I couldn't agree more. Even in my own life, I've noticed that quite a bit. And it can be the smallest action. It can be something
Yes.
super tiny. And as long as you acknowledge it as a win, it really can start an avalanche.
Amen.
So great
Yeah.
advice. So just for everybody listening to the show, I want to reiterate the name of the book is Market Eminence: 22 Strategies to Build a Bold Personal Brand, Become a Business Celebrity, and Drive Unstoppable Growth. And seriously, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the three previous books. Dave's other books are Do It Selling, Do It Speaking, and Do It Marketing. Again, I've read all three, and they are fantastic and worthy of anyone's library.
For
So,
sure.
David, if people want to get in touch with you and get this genius for their very own in one-on-one consultations, what's the best way to find you?
Well, the first step is to grab all the bonus resources, tools, and downloads related to the book. So those will help you actually, whether you buy the book or not, frankly. If you go to marketeminence.com, simply pop in there, and then you will get all the companion resources, tools, training, worksheets, printable goodies that will help you implement your market eminence game plan. And then my main website is doitmarketing.com. That's where my podcast is and my blog. And by the way, Jake has a fantastic podcast episode up there and another one coming soon. And so, podcast, blog, resources, some other freebies. That's kind of the main empire to get in touch with me. Look for speaking. If you're looking for speaking opportunities where I can come help your group or association or conference, I'd love to talk to you about that. And or some private work where we can work on your market eminence game plan. That is doitmarketing.com.
Fantastic. David, I can't thank you enough for being part of the show. Biggest of congratulations for launching your fourth book. I'm very excited to read it. So when I get my signed, embossed, gold-leafed copy, I will be delighted to take a look at it. So
Tremendous.
David,
Thank
thank you
you.
for being on the show.
My pleasure. Good to be here.
Thanks for checking out Own the Room with Jake Stahl. If you've gotten value from this episode, share it with the solopreneur in your life who wants to know how to communicate to be seen, heard, and respected. Review and rate the show wherever you check out podcasts. And grab your copy of Own the Room, How to Communicate to be Seen, Heard, and Respected. We'll catch you next week on Own the Room.